Well, good evening and welcome to a Christmas and winter solstice special of Love Not Fear. I am the author of Love Not Fear. And I'm with my gorgeous co-host, Annie Day, who's written two scrumptious books.
Orgasmic Health and Your Guide to Feeling Fabulous Fast.
So this evening, I'll put the link to all those books below, by the way, if you want to grab yourselves a copy.
Yeah.
Tonight, we've got a special rule. Everyone must have fun or they're going to get chucked out.
Well, that's us two in then.
Well, maybe not literally, but I'm sure everyone's going to have loads and loads of fun.
Yes, indeedy.
On our Christmas and solstice special.
Yay!
The Northern Hemisphere, it's the winter solstice tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the summer solstice, the day after tomorrow. Lucky buggers.
I know. What a difference in weather.
Oh, wouldn't you just love to have Christmas in Australia? Well, maybe not with the current political state of Australia, but in the olden days.
Oh, Andrew.
Andrew's here.
Admit. There we go. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
Good evening to you both. How are you this fine day?
We are absolutely fantastic. And you?
I'm good, yeah. It's a lot warmer. It went up by about 12 degrees Celsius, didn't it?
It did.
Oh, what a difference. Oh, my goodness.
I woke up in a hot sweat.
That's your age, mate.
All right, fair enough.
What
as long as I know. As long as I know.
Makes 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours from Tulsa.
Where there used to be rain.
And you're all festive and I'm not bothered, have I? Oh dear, I don't know. I'll get my marching orders, won't I?
No,
you wearing it?
As long as you're fun, we don't care.
I'm definitely fun.
What we dress up like.
Right, I'm just going to read some notes as I normally do.
Okay.
What we're going to do, I say this every week and it never happens, but we're going to make it happen this week, aren't we?
Oh, fighting talk.
I'm going to read a bit, and then he's going to do a bit, and I'm going to do a bit, and then he's going to do a bit. So you don't have to listen to my voice rattling on the whole bloody time. We never manage it, but we keep saying we're going to do it.
Well, I feel confident that you'll do a bit, I'll do a bit, and it will all come together seamlessly.
Wonderful. Right, let's crack on. Christmas and the winter solstice. Solstice actually means the time when the sun stands still. And the Norse and Celtic people believe that the mystical wheel of the year actually stops turning for a few days, just before the solstice, as the earth goddess herself holds her breath in preparation to move through her own rebirth with the return of her male mate, the sun god.
Yay! Being reunited with the sun god's always got to be good, hasn't it?
It's the most beautiful time of year.
Indeed.
This brief moment of pause when a silent darkness envelops the world. This moment of stillness is the perfect time to journey within, to retreat from the outside world of chaos and tune into what is in our hearts and our souls and what we want to bring forth into the coming year.
Yay! Great time to be manifesting our dreams into reality, isn't it?
So how can we serve the divine at this wonderful time of year? How can we share our love and our gifts and our wisdom with others? Not to get something for ourselves, but just to give and to help others. That to me is what the solstice and Christmas and New Year are all about. By the 4th century CE, Western Christian churches settled on celebrating Christmas on December the 25th, which allows them to incorporate the holiday of Saturnalia and the popular pagan midwinter traditions all as one. Celebrating Christmas at the same time as the existing Roman holiday, the Saturnalia, birthday of the unconquered sun, from December the 17th to December the 25th, made perfect sense. Piggybacking Jesus' birthday onto the winter solstice worked because both gave renewed hope to the world.
Indeed.
Of course, there may have been more devious motives, such as trying to make Jesus acceptable to the pagans.
Absolutely.
Who were the majority at that time. Saturnalia is an ancient Roman festival and holiday held to celebrate the agricultural god Saturn. It was the most popular holiday on the ancient Roman calendar, and it was derived from older farming-related rituals of midwinter and the winter solstice. It was the liveliest festival of the year. It was fun.
Yay!
Sounds of merriment. During that time, normal social patterns came to a halt. Fasting. Fasting. No.
The opposite of fasting, Jack. Feasting. All that luscious food.
Gift giving, singing, dancing, games, gambling, decorations, and role reversals were the usual activities. On this day, businesses, schools, courts, and other forms of work would all stop so that everyone could join in the fun. It was the best of days.
Yeah.
Streets were lit with torches so the fun could go on all night. The Feast of Apalia was held on the third day to honor Saturn's wife, Ops, goddess of the harvest. Her main celebration, of course, was the harvest festival earlier in the year. But she was now revered for the bounty of stalls in the granaries.
Yay!
Indeed, our modern word opulence is named after her.
Indeed.
Not a lot of people know that.
You're supposed to do that accent that goes with it, the Michael Caine.
I can't do the accent.
Not a lot of people know that. That was a rubbish Cockney accent as well, actually, but hey ho.
Well, he was a broad Cockney, wasn't he? But
yeah, indeed.
Apparently he wasn't technically, but people thought he was. At this time of year, slaves were allowed to dine and celebrate with their masters rather than having to work. Could this be the origin of Boxing Day, the day after Christmas Day, when in much more recent times, the rich used to box up gifts to give to the poor?
Yep. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Boxing Day was traditionally a day off for servants too, a day when they received a special Christmas box from their masters. The servants would also be allowed to go home on Boxing Day to give Christmas boxes to their families.
Yeah.
The winter solstice is a time of hope, of rebirth, when the sun's power is at its weakest and is beginning to grow in strength once again.
Yeah.
The birth of Jesus also brings hope to the world, as does the birth of Mabon ap Modron, son of the mother, in Celtic tradition.
Yes, indeed.
This is another winter solstice celebration, still popular in Wales and elsewhere. The Christmas tree. Where did that come from? Well, it evolved out of the Yule log of Norse tradition.
Yeah.
It's lit to bring good luck. Yule is the name of the winter solstice in the Scandinavian languages, as well as parts of Northern Europe, including Germany.
Yeah.
So the idea of Yule would have come to Britain either by the Danish invasion, the Vikings,
Yeah.
or possibly even earlier with the Saxons, because they would have had a very similar tradition before they were Christianized.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Yule log originally was an entire tree.
Yay!
It was chosen very carefully and brought into the house with great ceremony. The largest end of the log, the tree, would be placed into the hearth, while the rest of the tree was left sticking out into the room. The log would be lit from the remains of the previous year's log, so as to symbolize continuity.
What a lovely idea.
It is, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Clearly here we are talking about the great feasting halls of the very important people. The poor folk would have had to make do with an ordinary log, just as they do today. And the Romans did something similar. On the eve of the midwinter solstice, Roman priests would cut down a pine tree, decorate it, and carry it ceremoniously to the temple. People would decorate their homes with boughs of evergreen trees and shrubs.
Yeah.
Pines were revered as symbols of rebirth and life in the depth of winter.
And their fragrance is extraordinary, isn't it? The smell of fresh pine is just so gorgeous, isn't it? It really is.
You can't beat the smell of pine.
Oh, it's just amazing.
And I don't know whether it would have been true in Roman times, but you visit Rome now, and the main street is lined with pines, the pines of Rome.
Wow.
Probably in remembrance of that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important to remember that the winter solstice is a living tradition, very much alive in our modern world. There are still thriving pagan communities everywhere who still celebrate the changing seasons in the traditional ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Yay!
The Yule wreath, where does that come from? Well, it comes from Southern Europe. The Etruscans in an area just north of Rome, who thrived during the 6th century BCE. They made jewelry of gold and other precious metals in the shape of a wreath. Symbols from Greek myths often appear in the designs too. Etruscan jewelry included ivy, oak, olive leaves, myrtle, laurel, wheat, and vines.
Yay, all really natural things from our environment.
The problem with archaeology, of course, is that these precious metal artifacts survive, whereas the wreaths made by the country people, wreaths of real oak, ivy, olive, myrtle, laurel, wheat, and vines, do not. They will have rotted away.
Absolutely.
Nevertheless, it is these wreaths of natural materials that are still made today.
Indeed.
The circular shape represents both the wheel of the year and the eternal cycle of death and rebirth.
Yeah.
Remember that the winter solstice is the time of year when the sun dies and is reborn. Although in the Christian tradition, that theme is played out at Easter, at the time of the spring rites. Evergreens represent everlasting life and are traditionally hung around doorways and windows.
Yay!
Mistletoe is sacred to the Druids who consider it to be a healer and protector. It's carefully cut, traditionally in the olden days, with a golden sickle to
Wow.
ensure that it never touches the ground.
Wow.
Its magical properties are believed to be connected to the fact that it lives between the worlds, between the sky and the earth.
Yeah.
The white berries of mistletoe represent the fertile male semen of the living God, which is where kissing under the mistletoe comes from. Kissing under the mistletoe comes from.
Oh, yeah. Love kissing.
We like a bit of that, don't we?
Oh, sure do.
Use a bit of that.
I think kissing's vastly underrated.
Holly is a particularly powerful evergreen plant for protection with its spiky bristles.
Yes. And its lovely red berries.
Yeah, and its lovely red berries that symbolize menstrual blood.
Indeed.
So, indeed, the words holly and holy are etymologically linked.
Yeah.
And newborn babies used to be sprinkled with holy water,
Yeah.
water in which holly has been soaked.
Yeah. And these are called our temples. Sacral is our sacred place. So all these words are telling us, you know, about the fact that we are fractals of the divine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Holly, the plant, is sacred to Holly, the Germanic goddess, and symbolizes everlasting life, goodwill, and potent life energy.
Ooh,
Her other names include, and I'm afraid my German isn't very good, so I'm going to completely mess up this pronunciation here.
That's all right. I'm probably going to do the same with some of this.
Hulda, Holder, and Hola. She is thought to be the ancient Germanic supreme goddess. She predates most of the Germanic pantheon, including deities such as Odin, Thor, Freya, and Loki. Continuing traditions of pre-Indo-European Neolithic Europe. So very, very old traditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
She lives on in Germany now as Frau Holle in modern Germanic culture. She may also be connected, although this is not certain, with the Scandinavian Hulda, guardian of the forests.
That would make sense though, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
As we've already said, the red berries of the holly represent menstrual blood, and together with the mistletoe, which represents the semen, the two together represent the sacred marriage at this time of year, with the rebirth of the sun.
Yay.
Or the son, SUN/SON.
Yeah.
The two traditions are inseparable, really.
Absolutely.
I don't know why people get so hung up about all that, you know. We're all one. Let's not have division between different religions and different traditions. You know, let's all just love each other and tolerate each other.
Let's just love each other. All we need is love.
Love is all we need. Ivy is the evergreen symbol of immortality and resurrection.
Yes.
It reminds us of reincarnation and rebirth by the way it grows in a spiral, and Jack needs to put his teeth in. In the Egyptian tradition, ivy is sacred to Osiris, where his death and resurrection is a central theme.
Yeah.
To the Greeks, ivy is sacred to Dionysus, god of vegetation and of the return of springtime.
Yeah.
In the Roman tradition, where Dionysus is called Bacchus. Now, your favorite tree
You tree
is the tree of regeneration and rebirth.
and reincarnation.
Yep, it sends up new shoots from its roots and grows to a very great age. It is deeply connected with the spirit realms and the ancestors.
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about yew trees last week, didn't we?
We did. If you didn't catch last week's show on trees, then please catch it because it was a brilliant, brilliant show.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, for sure.
And Annie was absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Gift giving is another very ancient tradition at this time of year. Whether you consider this to be the birthday of the SUN or the SON, what better way can there be to give thanks than to show generosity?
Yeah.
Right. So do you want to do a little bit, Annie?
I do indeed.
And then I come back and do a bit more.
Okay, my darling. So the winter solstice, as Jack's already told us, is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. In the northern hemisphere, it takes place in late December. In the southern hemisphere, it occurs in June. From ancient Romans to indigenous Americans, cultures around the world have long held feasts and celebrated holidays around the winter solstice. So I thought what might be quite interesting for us to look at how different cultures celebrate the winter solstice.
Yeah.
So you've already spoken about Saturnalia. Western culture owes many of the traditional midwinter celebrations, including those of Christmas, to Saturnalia, an ancient Roman solstice celebration dedicated to the Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. During this jolliest and most popular of Roman festivals, it's said that social norms fell away as everyone indulged in gambling, drinking, feasting, and the giving of gifts. Not so keen on the drinking and the gambling, but you know, that sounds, everything else sounds great.
I read somewhere that Rome had strict laws around gambling with dice.
All right.
But they were actually relaxed during this particular celebration.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So St. Lucia's Day, this traditional festival of lights in Scandinavia, honours St. Lucia, one of the earliest Christian martyrs, but was incorporated with earlier Norse solstice traditions after many Norsemen converted to Christianity around 1000 AD. According to the old Julian calendar, December the 13th, the date that is traditionally given as the day in 304 AD, when the Romans killed Lucia for bringing food to persecuted Christians who were hiding in Rome. This was also the shortest day of the year. As a symbol of light, Lucia and her feast day blended naturally with other solstice traditions, such as lighting fires to scare away spirits during the longest, darkest night of the year. On St. Lucia's Day, girls in Scandinavia wear white dresses with red sashes and wreaths of candles on their head as an homage to the candles Lucia wore on her head to light her way as she carried the forbidden food in her arms. Dongqi, the Chinese celebration of the winter solstice. Dongqi, which means winter arrives, welcomes the return of longer days and the corresponding increase in positive energy in the year to come. As it occurs only 6 weeks before the Chinese New Year, the festival has its own significance for many people and is believed to be the day when everyone in the world gets 1 year older. The celebration may have begun as Harvest Festival, when farmers and fishermen took time off to celebrate with their families. Today, it isn't an official holiday, but remains an occasion for families to join together to celebrate the year that has passed and to share good wishes with everyone for the year to come. The most traditional food for this celebration in southern China is glutinous rice balls known as tang yun, often brightly coloured and cooked in sweet or savoury broth. Northern Chinese enjoy plain or meat-stuffed dumplings, a particularly warming and nourishing food for a midwinter celebration. Shabayada, on the longest night of the year, Iranians all over the world celebrate the triumph of Mithra. Mithra is the sun god, and it's this that is celebrated, that he has overcome darkness, which translates to the night of birth. According to this tradition, people gather together on the longest night of the year to protect each other from evil, burning fires to light their way through the darkness and performing charitable acts. Friends and family join in making wishes, feasting on nuts, pomegranates and other festive foods, reading poetry, especially the work of the 14th century Persian poet Hafiz. Some stay awake all night to rejoice in the moment when the sun arises, banishing evil and announcing the arrival of goodness. In Peru, like the rest of the Southern Hemisphere, the winter solstice is celebrated in June. The Inti Raymi, which is Quechua for Sun Festival, which takes place on the solstice, is dedicated to honouring Inti, the sun god. Before the Spanish conquest, the Incas fasted for 3 days before the solstice. Before dawn on the 4th day, they went to a ceremonial plaza and waited for the sun to rise. When it appeared, they crouched down before it, offering gold cups of chica, the sacred beer made from fermented corn. Animals, including llamas, who I'm especially fond of, sadly were sacrificed.
Yeah.
After the conquest, the Spaniards banned the Inti Raymi holiday, but it's revived in the 20th century with only max sacrifices and continues today. Chalaco for the Zuni, one of the Native American Pueblo peoples in western New Mexico, the winter solstice signifies the beginning of the year and is marked with a ceremonial dance called Chalaco. After fasting, praying, and observing the rising and setting of the sun for several days before the solstice, the Pequin or sun priest traditionally announces the exact moment of Itiwana, the rebirth of the sun, with a long, mournful call. With that signal, the rejoicing and the dancing begin as 12 Kachina clowns in elaborate mass dance along with the Chalaco himself, a 12-foot high effigy with bird heads seen as messages from the gods. After 4 days of dancing, new dancers are chosen for the following year and the yearly cycle begins again.
I would just say about sacrificing, because as you say, they sacrificed a llama, and the Romans at that time of year, they sacrificed a pig. And people get upset about all this. And vegans, I can understand getting upset about it, but even carnivores get upset about it. And why? You know, they're killing an animal to eat in the feast.
Yeah.
No different from, it's probably a lot kinder than sending it to a modern abattoir.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on this, darling.
But it certainly isn't a wasted life as people like to try and portray it as.
No, it's not, because this will be a feast afterwards.
It's not even a sacrifice, really, because really a sacrifice is giving up something in order to get something else. This is just a ritual killing and a ritual feasting.
And a Thanksgiving, all of these, you know, ways of doing the winter solstice and Christmas were all about being grateful for the abundance. And, you know, we've already talked about Saturnalia, who is the god of agriculture. Agriculture would have been the you know, the animals that were being reared that would be used for food in the feasting, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next one is Soyal. Like the Zuni, the Hopi of northern Arizona are believed to be among the descendants of the mysterious Anasazi people, ancient Native Americans who flourished beginning in 200 BC. As the Anasazi left no written records, we can only speculate about their winter solstice rite, but the placement of stones and structures in their ruins, such as New Mexico's Chaco Canyon, indicate they certainly took a keen interest in the sun's movement. In the Hopi solstice celebration of Soyal, the sun chief takes on the duties of the Zuni Pequin, announcing the setting of the sun on the solstice. An all-night ceremony then begins, including kindling fires, dancing, singing, and gift-giving. Sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
Traditionally, the Hopi Sun Watcher was not only important to the winter solstice tradition, as his observation of the sun also governed the planting of crops and the observance of Hopi ceremonies and rituals all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Toji in Japan. The winter solstice is less a festival than a traditional practice centered around starting the new year with health and good luck. It is a particularly sacred time of the year for farmers who welcome the return of the sun, which will nurture their crops after the long, cold winter. People light bonfires to encourage the sun's return. Huge bonfires burn on Mount Fuji each December the 22nd. A widespread practice during the winter solstice is to take hot or warm baths, scented with yuzu, a citrus fruit, which is said to ward off colds and foster good health. Many public baths and hot springs throw yuzu in the water during the winter solstice. Many Japanese people also eat kabocha squash, known in the United States as Japanese pumpkin, on the solstice, as the color was thought to bring luck. Is winter solstice celebrated all over the world? It sure is.
Yeah, sure it is. Of course it is.
Winter solstice is a day that has been celebrated around the world for thousands of years in many different cultures. Some festivals include the Hopi Indian Festival of Soyal, the Polish celebration of Gody, Greeks' Brumalia celebration, and the Hindu celebration of Makar Sankranti on the 9th of December. In Finnish mythology, it's told that Louhi, the witch goddess of the north, kidnaps the sun and the moon and held them captive inside a mountain, causing the darkness of winter. The Yupik peoples, indigenous to the Arctic, tell the story of Gokupak, subterranean monsters with bulbous bodies and frog-like legs who could only be killed by the rising sun. On the winter solstice, the Yupak emerged to hunt, and mammoth carcasses were said to be the corpses of the ones who stayed out too long and died when the sun returned. In Greek mythology, the Kalikanzaros were angry, hairy, gnome-like creatures who lived underground and tried to cut down the tree of life. Can't have that.
Can't be having that, no.
Like the Kuyupak, they could also be killed only by sunlight and emerge during the solstice to wreak havoc on homes and villages. They were reported to be dumb. And they were unable to count past 3. You'll love this, Jack. This is really funny. So the villagers used to put out colanders to ward them off. The Kalanskaros would end up trying to count all the holes in the colanders until sunrise, and then they would have to go back underground before they could cause any mischief. So while they were counting all the holes, because they could only count up to 3, They got distracted and then the sun was up straight away.
What a gorgeous idea.
I know, it's great, isn't it? I love it. Winter solstice has also been known to celebrate Earth's regeneration or rebirth, and the Scandinavian goddess Bewi is associated with health and fertility. It was believed that she traveled through the night sky in a structure made of reindeer bones with her to bring back the greenery on which the reindeers fed. For this reason, she was worshipped during this time of year. In Italian folklore, La Befana is a goddess who rides around the world on her broom during the solstice, leaving candles and gifts to well-behaved children. She appears to the children and takes care of the farm animals. And then the other stuff that I've got is about global celebrating of Christmas. So do you want to say your...
Yep, let's do another bit of mine and then we'll come back to you.
Okay, lovely.
It makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
It does indeed, my darling.
So, when was Jesus actually born? Do we know? Well, we don't know for certain, as it wasn't recorded. But there are clues, such as shepherds watching over their flocks. Would the flocks have been out on the hills in December? I don't know what the climate's like in the Holy Land, but
if the Annunciation was right, there isn't 9 months between that and December. So our normal gestation period for this beautiful goddesses is 9 months. So I think it was just getting it to fit in a date where it could incorporate the winter solstice as well.
Consider also that we are told that Mary and Joseph were traveling to Bethlehem.
Indeed.
For the Roman census. Would that have occurred in winter? Indeed, we can't even be sure which year Jesus was born, let alone which month.
Yeah.
The Gospels place the baby Jesus during the reign of King Herod I, also known as Herod the Great.
Yeah.
Herod was a Roman client king of Judea who was born in 72 BCE and died in either 4 BCE or 1 BCE, depending on which source you believe.
Yeah.
So according to that market, Jesus must have been born somewhere between 4 BCE and 1 BCE. But then we have another gospel story that places the birth of Jesus during the Roman census of, I can't even pronounce it, I'm not even going to try.
Quirinius.
Thank you very much.
Oh, well done, Andrew.
Say it again. Say it again.
Quirinius.
Thank you. Upon the imposition of direct rule from Rome in 6 CE. So the Gospel of Luke uses it to date the birth of Jesus, while the Gospel of Matthew places the time of Herod the Great for the birth of Jesus. Certainly both accounts can't be true. And the closest we can get is to say that Jesus was born somewhere between 4 BCE and 6 CE. Although I know other sources, contact me privately if you want to know more details, that actually places his birth even later than that, some 30 years later than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made perfect sense then as now to celebrate the birth of the bringer of light and hope for the world at the time of the winter solstice, when people were already giving thanks for the return of the newborn son.
I've got something to add.
Yeah.
In John's Gospel, if you look at the original writing there, it says, and you probably know it from Nine Carol services that you may have been to, it's talking about Jesus as the Word of God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt amongst us, full of grace and truth. But the word dwelt in the original Greek is put up his tent, tabernacled, yeah, tabernacled with us.
Yeah.
And the Feast of Tabernacles is at the end of September, beginning of October. So we can deduce from that. And there was prophecy about the Messiah being born at that time of year, that Jesus was born in September or early October.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you for that.
Doesn't it? Thank you, Andrew.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So, to those of you who say that Christianity has no place in Yule celebrations, or that paganism has no place at Christmas, let me just say that as far as I'm concerned, everyone of good heart is welcome at the table.
Absolutely.
The songs we sing may
Absolutely.
be different, but our tunes are not that far apart,
Yeah.
and all tolerant paths lead to enlightenment.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to do, and I don't know whether this is going to work, because I actually recorded a poem, and I want to see whether I can share screen and play it. But if it don't work, it don't work.
Yeah, I think you said before the show that you're going to go for it, and if it doesn't work, you can put the link in the description, can't you?
Yeah. That's not right. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute, folks.
All you need is love. La 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 la. All you need is love. La 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 la. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. I want to be the backing group as well with that.
You should have been on the original. That was a lot better than what I've heard before.
You're too kind, Andrew.
I really can't see this is going to work. But I'll put a link to it.
Okay, Shug.
I'll put a link to it, but it's a brilliant poem. In fact, I might even read it now, live on air. If you can stand, if you
Go
can
for
stand
it.
that, if you can stand that.
Go for it.
Let's see if I can get to it. Let's see if I can get to it, boys and girls, and those who aren't too sure. Ah, that's not right. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'll put a link to it in the description.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about? Oh, sorry.
It's called The Night Before Yuletide, and it's really, really good.
Okay.
So you got any more material, Annie?
I sure have.
Go on,
come on, Jack Cox. You know me better than that. So, 20 unique Christmas traditions around the world. There are many tried and true Christmas traditions in the United Kingdom. Decorating your Christmas tree, baking cookies, baking mince pies, Christmas cakes, Christmas pudding, and opening Christmas presents, to name but a few. So some more modern traditions, including watching Christmas movies, have kind of slipped into our culture. But looking at this on the whole of our earth, from Christmas by the beach with fresh seafood in New Zealand to hot porridge that keeps families warm during the cold Finland winter. The Philippines, if you thought that the UK went all out with Christmas decoration, you should see what the Philippines does. Oh, yeah. Every year, the city of San Fernando holds a giant lantern festival featuring dazzling lanterns that symbolize the Star of Bethlehem. Each lantern consists of thousands of spinning lights that illuminate the night sky. The festival has made San Fernando the Christmas capital of the Philippines. Brilliant. And I've actually seen photos of this, and it looks so amazing. It really does. Iceland, similar to the 12 days of Christmas in the UK, Iceland celebrates on the 13th. No, they celebrate not 12 days of Christmas, 13 days of Christmas.
Mhm.
Each night before Christmas, Icelandic children are visited by the 13 Yule lads. After placing their shoes by the window, the little ones will head upstairs to bed, and in the morning they'll either have received candy if they've been good, or be greeted with shoes full of rotten potatoes if they've been bad. And you thought that coal was a terrible gift. But yeah, I think potatoes takes the biscuit, really. Finland, on Christmas mornings, Finnish families traditionally eat a porridge made of rice and milk, topped with cinnamon, milk and butter. Whoever finds the almond placed inside one of the puddings wins, but some families hide a few extra almonds so that the children don't get upset. At the end of the day, it is customary to warm up in a sauna together. Sounds awesome. I like the idea of that.
I'm definitely up for a sauna right now.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Me too, darling.
I'm not sure about rolling in the snow afterwards, though.
Yeah, and the birch twigs, it's not really my thing. But yes, I could do the Wim Hof rolling about in snow thing. Definitely do saunas regularly. But yes, that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? New Zealand, because summer falls during Christmas time for the Kiwis, a number of their traditions centre around a barbecue or grill, where families and friends gather for a casual cookout of fresh seafood, meat and seasonal vegetables. The New Zealand Christmas tree is the Pohutakawa, a coastal species that blooms a bright red colour in December, providing shade during the sunny days as they sing carols in both English and Maori. In Martinique, in the French Caribbean island, La Ribote is a long-standing tradition where families visit their neighbours during Advent and New Year's Day, bearing holiday foods like yams, boudin creole, pâtés, salés and pork stew. They sing Christmas carols together into the early hours of the morning, adding their own Creole jazz verses to traditional lyrics. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, brilliant.
A bit of jazz in among all the carols sounds lovely. In Norway, the Christmas season, called Julebord, begins on December the 3rd, filling up local bars and restaurants throughout the month. Families celebrate Little Christmas on December the 23rd. Each have their own ritual for that day that may include decorating the tree, making a gingerbread house, and eating rice and gringrot, which is hot rice pudding with cinnamon in. Ireland, the Irish leave a tall red candle in a front window overnight, a welcoming symbol of warmth and shelter for the holiday season. Traditional Christmas fare in Ireland would often include homemade roast goose, vegetables, cranberries, and potatoes. In Barbados, a Christmas table isn't considered to be complete without a baked ham decorated with pineapple and sorrel glazes. A rum kind of...
Sorry. Hang on. Sorry, Annie. I was playing with this phone to try and get it working. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay. Where did you hear up to? Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
So Barbados, a Christmas table in Barbados isn't complete without a baked ham decorated with sorrel and pineapple glazes. They make a cake, which is called a rum cake, but it's very similar in recipe to our Christmas pudding. And jug jug is a dish inspired by the Scottish influence on the island, combining pigeon, peas, guinea corn, flour, herbs and salted meat. In Poland, on Christmas Eve in Poland, many families share oplatek, an unleavened religious wafer. Each person breaks off a piece as they wish each other Merry Christmas. Dinner may not begin until the first stars appear in the night sky, and traditionally an extra setting is left at the table should someone show up uninvited or for absent guests. I know that we've done that in the past.
Yeah,
Had a
yeah,
chair
yeah.
for somebody that's not there anymore.
It's always a nice thing to do, isn't it?
It is, isn't it, to honour our ancestors? The Netherlands Sinterklaas is the Dutch name for St. Nicholas, the man recognised by children by his long white beard, green cape. Children put a shoe by the chimney or back door and wake up on Christmas morning to find treats like gingerbread men, marzipan and chocolate letters, chocolate letters inside was what I intended to say.
Yeah.
Portugal and Brazil. Brazilian and Portuguese families come together on Christmas Eve to eat dinner as late as 10 p.m. Again, they're very conscious of when the stars come out and they want to be eating to celebrate that beautiful starlight. Then at exactly midnight, they exchange gifts, toast and wish each other a Merry Christmas. Midnight Mass is their chance to meet up with neighbours and extended family to wish them well for the holiday season. The service is often followed by fireworks in the town square. It's a pity we don't have fireworks after midnight Mass. I think that would be awesome.
Fun, yeah.
I think that'd be really fun, wouldn't it?
We need to have more fun in this country.
We do. We absolutely do. Mexico, all across Mexico, members of the church put on pastorales, shepherd plays, which would be the equivalent of our nativity plays, to retell the Christmas story. The Mexican Christmas season began early in December with Las Posadas, a religious march that reenacts the journey of Mary and Joseph. The vibrant red poinsettia flowers are also used in holiday arrangements for decorations throughout the country.
Beautiful,
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah. They do that throughout the Spanish world.
Yeah, absolutely. Switzerland. Swiss families make their own advent calendars for the holiday season. These calendars are given to children as a surprise or made together as a fun activity for all the family. Each day's bag reveals a new surprise or treat with the biggest gift on Christmas Eve. El Salvador in Central America, they toast Christmas with firework displays on December the 24th and 25th. Children celebrate with smaller firecrackers called volcancitos, which are little volcanoes, and estrelitas, which are little stars, while those who are a little older tend to prefer the large varieties and the Roman candles. That's all I've got. Well, that's everything I've got. I don't mean it's all I've got. That was considerable, but that is
well, thank
your
you very
turn
much
for your poem.
Fingers crossed now. I'm going to see if I can run this poem.
Okay.
Fingers crossed and hold your breath.
Got everything crossed.
Yeah. Let me see. Share screen.
Oh, Jack Cox has started screen sharing, it said.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It says, "Twas the night before Yuletide," read by Jack Cox, written by C.C. Williford.
Was the night before Yuletide, and all through the glen, not a creature was stirring, not a fox, not a hare. A mantle of snow shone brighter that night as it lay on the ground, reflecting moonlight.
Can you all hear it okay?
I can. I've just turned my volume up.
Okay.
The fairy were nestled all snug in their trees, unmindful of flurries and a chilly north breeze. The owls and the gnomes were down in their burrows, sleeping like babes in their soft earthen furrows. When lo, the earth moved with a thunderous quake, causing chairs to fall over and dishes to break. The little folks scrambled to get to their feet, then raced to the river where they usually meet. What happened? They wondered, they questioned, they probed, as they shivered in nightclothes, some bare-armed and some robed. What caused the earth shudder? What caused her to shiver? They all spoke at once as they stood by the river. Then what to the eye should appear? A shining golden light in the shape of a sphere. It blinked and it twinkled. It winked like an eye. Then it flew straight up and was lost in the sky. But before they could murmur, before they could bustle, there emerged from the crowd with a swish and a rustle, a stately old crone with a hand on a cane, resplendent in green, with a flowing white mane. As she passed by them, the old crone's perfume smelled of meadows and flowers abloom, made each of the faith folk think of the spring, when the earth wakes from slumber and the birds start to sing. My name is Gaia, the old crone proclaimed, in a voice that was at once both wild and tame. I've come to remind you, for you seem to forget, that Yule is the time of rebirth, and yet I see no hearth fires, hear no music or bells, and the air isn't filled with fragrant smells of baking and roasting and shimmering stews, of cider that's mulled, or other hot brews. And there aren't any children that play in the snow, or houses lit up by candles glow. Have you forgotten, my children, the fun of celebrating the rebirth of the sun? She looked at the faith folk, her eyes going round as they shuffled their feet and stared at the ground. Then she smiled that smile that brings light to the day. Come, my children, let's play.
Yay!
They gathered the mistletoe and gathered the holly, drew off the drab and drew on the jolly. They lit a big bonfire and they danced and they sang. They brought out the bells and they clapped when they rang. They strung lights to the trees and boughs, oh so merry, in colours of cranberry, bayberry and cherry. They built giant snowmen and adorned them with hats, then surrounded them with snowbirds, snow cats and snow bats. Then just before dawn, at the end of their feast, before they went homeward, seeking out their rest, the faith folk they gathered round their favourite oak tree and welcomed the sun beneath the tree's finery. They were just reaching home when it suddenly came. The golden light returned like an arrow-shot flame. It lit on the treetops, where they could see from afar The golden light sphere had turned into a star.
Oh.
The old crone just smiled at the beautiful sight. Happy Yuletide, my children. She whispered good night.
Well, that's
That
it,
was
folks.
lovely. Well done, Jack.
I love that poem.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Fitting way to end our last radio show of the year.
That's one of the year, folks. We'll be back next year with a, what was it they used to say? What was it Deputy Dog used to say?
Deputy Dog. I
Can't remember. Daddy, 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 da. We'll be back next year with a brand new show.
Oh, right.
The time has come for us to go, but we'll be back next year with a brand new show.
Perfect, lovely Jack.
We're not quite sure when we're going to do the first one of next year, when it's going to be the, what dates did we say? The 2nd or the 9th?
Let me consult the oracle, my lovely diary. So we could do it Monday, the 2nd of January.
Yeah. Well, failing that, it'll be Monday, the 9th of January.
Indeedy.
But I think it all depends how hung over we are on the 2nd.
Darling, as I don't drink at all, I think one of us is going to be very sober. Well, perhaps I'll have some beautiful plant magic. Who knows?
Well, I think both of us are going to be pretty much wrecked one way or another. So anyway, watch this space and we'll let you know when we're back.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful holiday season, everybody. Those who are here tonight and those who are not.
Yeah.
Whenever you celebrate the winter solstice and this time of year, whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate, have a fantastic time. This is a time of love and coming together. It's not a time for bitching about our different traditions. So just have fun.
Yay!
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you to all the people who will be watching us on YouTube. Namaste.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks.